Well, consumers are shelling out more for eggs, more money for eggs and poultry, amid a shortage driven by an avian flu outbreak. It's been described as one of the worst strains seen in the country, and it is threatening the retail industry and food security. Retailers, including Woolworths and Pick and Pay, have now moved to rationing products to consumers. Millions of chickens have had to be culled in the wake of this outbreak. So let's unpack what this will mean for various sectors, for households as well. We're joined on the line by Gomotsegang Lepelle, who is with he's a poultry and agricultural farmer, and Wendy Alberts is the CEO of Restaurants Association of South Africa. To both of our guests, thanks very much indeed for coming on. Gomotsegang, if I can begin with you this morning, it does appear that in a very short space of time, we've gone from being slightly concerned about shortages in chickens and eggs as a result of this outbreak to being in the situation where we are now with egg shelves completely empty.
Hi, good morning. Yes, it has gone that far. And I think with us, we're not such a large-scale farmer. We do about 28 trays a day. So we're still able to actually meet our customers' demand, basically. And the only thing now is that demand is actually rising. And unfortunately for us, we're not able to procure more chicks so that we can actually make more eggs. And as well, like for instance now, we could have been ready to slaughter our broiler chickens, but we unfortunately can't because we can't take the risk. So that is what is hitting us a bit bad at the moment.
And what kind of time frame are we looking at to try and get this shortage under control? Just in your experience, getting the hens that we need, just in terms of dealing with the egg shortage, how long will that take?
Sure. The whole process, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for chicken to be ready to start hatching. Even then, we're looking at very, very small, to medium eggs, basically. So it will take us a bit of a while. I'm thinking once the flu is over, we'll need a good 2 to 3 months for us to fully recover.
Wendy Alberts, let's bring you into the conversation this morning. The CEO of the Restaurants Association of South Africa. One can just imagine how the brunch spots around the country are panicking.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting us. Absolutely a very concerning situation for everybody in South Africa. Poultry is a staple protein for us. It's been the most affordable for us. And you can just imagine how this is impacting the restaurant sector with the substitution of any type of product. Most of our substitutions contain eggs, right through from pancakes to waffles to muffins to any type of other breakfast product. So it is certainly a challenging time for us. We have certainly got a number of farmers who are still supplying eggs to our restaurants in a safe way. We do have some shortages, but the bigger factor of concern for us is obviously the price exploitation and the reports in of the very, very, very extreme pricing that a lot of these local farmers, which we've been supporting for a very long time, are charging us to be able to bring product to table.
Yeah. So we're talking restaurants, brunch spots, as you say, bakeries as well. There's just so many recipes where eggs are needed, right, outside of the chicken shortage that is looming large as well. Does it make sense, though, Wendy, that given this shortage, given that eggs are now in high demand, that we can see a bit of an increase in prices?
Look, a number of our farmers have some of our farmers have maintained pricing and pricing integrity, but some of our farmers have taken complete advantage of the situation and almost making it unaffordable for us to purchase a box of eggs at close on 1,000 rand a box of eggs. So it really does outprice us from even being able to afford what local product is. And the thing for me is we've always pushed local as Blacker. We've always pushed to support our local farmers, those local communities. And at a time of crisis like this, where there is this outbreak, I think it's really responsible for everybody to work together to be able to bring basic products like bread. And in my conversation with a lot of the bread manufacturers, I know that they're importing liquid eggs to be able to continue to do their baking. Right. So we're all working together to get through this time. And it's not an opportunity for people to financially gain out of it. It really is supposed to be a place where we can really have good integrity moving forward while the shortages are taking place.
Yeah,
Reports that we've had is about 6 months, 3 to 6 months before we normalize back to reality. I also see that the government is also sourcing eggs and looking to source eggs. So everybody's on top of this, and, we're just asking the consumer to bear with us when they do come into our restaurants. Just be mindful that it is at no fault of our restaurants. We are certainly doing everything we can not to inconvenience our consumers.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000 rand for a box of eggs. How many eggs are in a box, Wendy?
There's 36 eggs in a tray and 4 trays in a box.
Sure, yeah. No, that's steep. So 250 rand per tray. Gomotsegang, let's bring you back into the conversation. 3 to 6 months on the part of restaurants insofar as their prediction for the situation to normalize. For you, as someone who's in the industry, is there that kind of agreement in the industry that there won't be price gouging for those farmers who still have some supplies?
Not really. Just yesterday I was having a chat with the farm manager. So with what Wendy is explaining, our box actually has 12 trays of eggs, and we used to sell it at 540. And the farm manager was like, why don't we dive onto this and make it 840 a box?
Sure.
So we don't have like a solid little community that we say maybe we get together and we discuss. We just kept testing. Last week, a box, not a box, a tray was 50 rand. But if we're going this model of the box being 840, that means we can sell a tray, if we think about it, for like 90, 100 rand, basically. Yes.
So in terms of, Wendy, in terms of, getting the egg alternatives into our restaurants, obviously, for bacon and egg breakfast, for example, there's not going to be much we can do insofar as an alternative is. But there are a number of other alternatives, and you already mentioned egg substitutes like liquid eggs for the bakeries who depend on eggs for their goods and for them to keep going. Is that freely available?
Look, that has always been available. That is largely used in our hotels on their breakfast buffets, etc. So there are alternatives and substitute products which we have got from our major suppliers. But people want the real egg. They want a real breakfast. They want a good South African heartfelt breakfast. So we just have to work through this process over the next couple of weeks and work with the farmers, work with the suppliers. And we just caution the farmers not to outprice themselves, that when we do bring imports in, that we haven't found alternatives ways not to support them when the outbreak is over.
Yeah. We've been talking over the past year or so about the knock that restaurants took insofar as COVID-19 is concerned, and obviously that was never going to be something that they'd recover from in the space of just a matter of months. For those who are just coming out of COVID-19, this is yet another step back.
This is one of many things on our balance sheet that we tackle every single day. Our restaurant industry is trying very, very hard to be resilient. We are still carrying those heavy burdens and high bank loans from COVID. Interest rates has obviously increased dramatically. Some of those installments that we have doubled, if not tripled, with the interest rates that we've been charged. The landlords are still unfavorable to the conditions that we obviously need to rent space in. Escalations. We look at just the cost to keep our doors open with the generators. We look at the cost to maintain equipment because of the power surges. We look at the cost of fuel. And we look at the price increases in food and the shortage of people's disposable income to be able to constantly eat in our restaurants. So it's we're working on that business model. We're trying to be innovative. We're trying to pivot. I can see in our industry a lot of restaurants are relieving themselves of landlords, and they're looking at alternative clever ways of being in other spaces that are affordable. And I think as we move into the next 3-year cycle, we're going to see exciting things for our restaurant industry. It's still the most loved industry. We've seen it through the new World Cup. We've seen how favorable South Africa supports us, and will continue to be a pleasing industry to South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. Wendy Alberts is the CEO of the Restaurants Association of South Africa, and joining us on the line this morning, Gomotsegang, Lepelle, poultry and agricultural farmer. To both of our guests, thanks very much. Indeed, I suppose now is the time to be neighbourly, if indeed you need to knock on someone's door, not for a cup of sugar, but for a couple of eggs.